Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Soul Rising podcast. My name is Amanda McCoy Flanagan. I am your host. I love doing these shows. I'm so glad that you have come back to join me, or if you're here for the first time, welcome. We have really great, interesting conversations, and I sort of run the gamut. I say all things love, loss, and connection. And today, I have one of my Polkadot Powerhouse sisters, Jennifer Andrade. She is a pet chiropractor, and we met up for coffee. And I was like, I've never really talked about pets and pet loss. And it's really, pets are such a huge, they're more than pets, right? Like they're such a part of the family and such an important part of our life. And then, when we lose them, it's like losing our best friend or family member for some people. So I wanted to kind of dip into that, all the emotions connected to animals, how animals are just there for us in good times and bad, and how special that is. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about Jennifer, and then we're going to get into it. So here we go. Talk to Jennifer. Jen, we're going to call her Jen. Andrade is a chiropractor and an AVCA certified animal chiropractor, and the founder of Elevate Health Chiropractic in the Denver area. She provides a chiropractic care for pets and their people, helping both move better, feel better, and live better. After navigating the challenges of building a practice through the pandemic, Jen discovered the power of alignment, authenticity, and community in business. Today, she is passionate about helping animals thrive, supporting their humans, and empowering other service-based entrepreneurs to build sustainable, heart-led businesses rooted in purpose and connection. So, hey, Jen, welcome.
Hi. It's really nice to be here with you, Amanda.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So why don't we start talking about why you got into this work? Have you always been a pet lover? I mean, you do chiropractic on humans too, right? Like I just said. So how did this start for you, specifically getting into pets?
Yeah. So I've definitely always been an animal lover. If you had asked me when I was a young girl what I wanted to be, I would have told you veterinarian or zookeeper. And then I started to learn what that actually meant, what veterinary care was, and definitely found that was not aligned with how I wanted to show up in the world. Euthanasia and difficult conversations was just not something I knew my heart was not going to be able to handle. So I became a chiropractor graduated in 2014 and worked for a couple different offices. And then in 2017, I decided to open my own practice. I launched in middle of 2018, and I was a new business owner trying to kind of get my feet wet, figure it out. Felt like I finally had a rhythm going, and the pandemic happened, right? And I felt like I went into survival mode. I was just trying to keep the ship afloat. I wasn't thriving. I was just trying to make sure we could keep the lights on and pay my own personal bills as well. So fast forward to early 2023, and I was feeling burnt out. I ended up going to coffee with a couple Polkadot sisters, actually. Ended up having a breakdown in the middle of a coffee shop, like full, tears, ugly crying, you can imagine. And it was because I was feeling burnt out, and I wasn't sure I was supposed to be a business owner. I was ready to throw in the towel. I was ready to go work for somebody else. And honestly, I was even questioning whether I was supposed to be a chiropractor. So I was encouraged to work with a life coach. And that life coach actually asked me a question that I kind of already alluded to earlier. And she asked me, what did you want to be before the world told you who you should be when you were a little girl? And it came back to, I wanted to be a veterinarian. So we dug into that. And I wasn't ready to make a complete career switch. I knew I loved chiropractic. I just hadn't found my niche, my passion, like the patient population that I was meant to serve. So kind of meshing those two loves was animal chiropractic. So I decided to pursue the certification after that. And the rest is a story.
What kind of animals do you work on?
Primarily dogs and horses. So in Colorado, I'm allowed to see dogs and horses without veterinary referrals. It can come directly to me. We call that direct access in the industry. So we're really fortunate here in Colorado that we have that option, because other states don't have such nice language and legislature in favor of animal chiropractic.
Oh yeah, we love our dogs here in Colorado because they want to be outside. You want to bring your friend with you on your hike or a walk. We're all very outdoorsy here, so it makes perfect sense. So speaking of that, like having somebody with you, why do you think we get so emotionally attached to animals? Really, I guess our pets.
Yeah.
What do people say when they come to you, and why they're willing to spend money on chiropractic care for an animal? Because it's sort of a new field, no?
Yeah, it's, I guess, newer. It's becoming more popular or more well known. Because that's the most common thing I encounter when I tell people what I do is that they didn't know that that was such a thing, right? Like they didn't know that what I did existed. But going back to your question about why do I feel that we have that connection? The example I use is like when you come in from a long day at work or you've been out running errands, does your family greet you with a smile and a bark and wanting to give you all kinds of love? No, but your dog does every single time. Like I go down to take my trash out and my dog thinks I've been gone for months, right? Doesn't matter if I leave for 2 minutes or 2 weeks. When I come back, they're so excited. And I think that connection comes from we are their world. We are the center of their world, right? They don't have anything else but us. We provide everything that they need from, the food, shelter, water, that kind of thing. But we're also providing all of the emotional and social interaction for them. And I think because they also just love unconditionally, right? I don't
Mm.
really feel you're going to find many humans that don't have some conditions around giving you their love, and animals just give it freely.
Yeah, he's saying, and come home, who's greeting you at the door with a smile and a bark. My
Yeah.
husband's definitely not shaking his booty for me. Like you say, it's every single time. It's every
Right?
single time. They are just so excited to see us. It feels so, so good to to just have that creature, that mammal that is just unconditional. Yes, we love our dogs. We're writing a book about our dog. My husband and my daughters are 12 and 14. They started this actually 3 years ago. They hired a legit graphic artist, and it's a young adult graphic novel. The artwork is fantastic. This guy, Benjamin Wright Coleman in Texas. My girls wrote it, and my husband kind of drove the ship. Oh, Dolly must hear me talking about her because she's speaking it. Um, and it's about my husband basically rescuing Dolly, finding her, and about him being a transit police officer and then becoming a firefighter and having PTSD. And then finds Dolly, and she also has trauma because she's a lot of rescues, right? I mean, most probably have trauma, and you could probably speak to that better than me. And then we bring her home, and like things get better in the family. Jim starts to do some therapy. His name in the book is Joe. I'm Mindy. So it's us, but then we're fictional. Like we add in, realistic fiction. We took some like creative license with stuff. And then it turns out, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but there's an event that happens that forces Joe to face his past, like he starts having flashbacks, and Dolly goes and does something, and Joe has to face his fears and to save her. So it's this really cool book about, again, right, like we say, who rescued who. I just saw that on the back of somebody's car yesterday. Like it's just these relationships are just so incredibly powerful. Dogs, they just keep coming back. They keep coming back. They're so loyal, right? Like you could not pay attention to it all day long, and they're still going to be there. They're always going to be there for you.
Yep. And I think for me, another piece is I tend to be a little more introverted. So like I people all day, right? I talk to my human patients, I talk to pet parents. So I can come home and just be and hold space and just be in presence with my dog. And my dog is perfectly content with that. I don't have to give them anything or do anything other than just be present.
Use the word authenticity in your bio. We could be 100% who we are, knowing that our dogs are not going to judge us. I mean, they're thinking something in their head. I don't know. They are. But no, like they just, yeah, you could just be. You could just be with your animal. Like I know that Jim like is my dog's like person. He is her person, and she is always right under his feet. she's very attached. I mean, she definitely is a little bit more attached than like a lot of other animals. She had a really hard time separating from her trainer when we got her. And then she just has separation anxiety. So she always wants him here, which is good because he's retired. He's retired for a long time. So they spend a ton of time together. But he'll just like be sitting and I'll just like put his hand down and she's like there, just like right there. And it just feels so good. And she'll come like whoever is sad, like if I'm sad or something, like she knows. This dog is so smart. Just like horses. Horses are I just love horses.
They're magical as well. And they are very energy in tune and sensitive. They pick up on the things before even if we think we're not showing it outwardly, right? Like they pick up on it.
Totally. How is it working on, let's say, a horse? Is it hard or a dog? Like, cause like manipulating them. Is it a struggle? How do you do it?
Each kind of animal is a little bit different, right? Like its behavior, it's obviously the size. So like physically, it's more demanding to work on a horse, clearly, right? Like I'm not a big gal. I'm 5'4", and every horse is going to be taller than me. And then, just understanding their behavior, and you really have to go at their pace, whether it's a dog, a horse, or anything else, right? Like you can't just tell them, I need you to do this, or we're doing this. You have to be very patient and in tune so that you can work with them. So I think it's been a big exercise on presence, energy management, and patience, working with them because they don't always cooperate, but they can't verbalize in a way like you and I can what's going on. So you have to be able to read that and try to work through it with them. And then with dogs, sometimes they're fearful because they're in pain, right? So trying to manage that and help them to be calm and feel safe is another challenge. But
I think that helps you manage other humans in your life a little bit better as well, like having that practice with the animals. And
absolutely.
Then
I was just having a conversation with a human patient this morning about how I think it's made me a better human practitioner as well, because it's brought me back to some of the basics that I learned, way back in school when I first started, just kind of going back to those basics and really remembering why I'm in this to begin with. Because sometimes we get so far down the road, we forget why we started and where we came from. So it's been a really good exercise, and I think it's made me a better practitioner overall.
Yeah, that's so true. We can get burned out any profession and we kind of forget the heart, right? The heart usually. And when I do, like what a lot of people in the world do, we have heart-based professions where, we say service-based. I'm looking at your bio, service-based entrepreneurs, but wanting to be of service really comes from the heart, right? Where it's like really heart-led work. Switching gears a little bit, how do you help service-based entrepreneurs build sustainable heart-led businesses? I'm reading here, rooted in purpose and connection. Is there anything that you do aside from just talking to people? Is there any business? Are you in the business world that way? Can people reach out and get help from you in that way?
Yeah. So I definitely talk to people. Like I do a lot of networking, Polkadots and lots of other things. But just sharing my journey as an entrepreneur and trying to actually help people from a coaching perspective or a mentoring perspective. So that's something that I am launching this year, is helping female service-based entrepreneurs that tend to be introverted show up better in their businesses and build a business that feels aligned and authentic to them.
Very cool. Do you have some tools and tricks you can share with us? Anybody who's listening that might be in that bucket if they want to get out there, but they're pretty introverted?
Yeah. So something that was really challenging for me early on is like it felt pretty good clinically, but didn't really know the business piece. So I hired business coaches over my time as an entrepreneur. And oftentimes I found that they were trying to prescribe or recommend methods that were meant for a different personality type, or it was very rigid. Like I did X, Y, and Z, and you need to do that. And that's the formula to get success. And I was like, for example, somebody asked me to go to like a farmer's market, set up a booth, get a megaphone, and like talk about my services over a megaphone. And I was like,
that is not you. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's
cool. I was like, I want to live on the side of the road in a cardboard box with your dog before I do that. So really finding aligned things that you can do to be visible and to get yourself out there. Because if you have a business and people don't know how to find you, you have a hobby, right? Like people have to be able to find you. You have to be visible to do that. So finding things that suit your personality. For me, it's building one-on-one relationships. I go to networking groups. I still get nervous talking in front of the group, but I really love that small group or that one-on-one interaction that I get, like the coffee we had together. That's where I've really built my business, is through building those relationships. And then for me, started showing up on social media a little bit differently. Instead of feeling like I had to have the perfect polished post all the time, I just started sharing about my life and what I was doing and what I was struggling with, what I was celebrating, and things that are going on there. And it made being visible a lot easier, right? Because I'm just sharing me and what's going on in my life, not just the perfect polished business post that nobody's probably going to read anyway, and only my mom liked.
Right. Yeah. So I'm sober, I'm in recovery, and I often bring these conversations back to things that I learned in recovery. And one of the first times that I spoke at a meeting was, it was like 90 people, 100 people. It was like a very big meeting back in New York. I was like on a microphone in front of a big room, and I was really scared. And I said to my sponsor, I said, what do I do? Like, what do I say? She said, just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Tell what happened. We say what happened, where you were, what happened, what it's like now. And it's the same thing with social media. Like you're saying, like, it just reminded me of that when you were talking, like you're just telling people, right? Getting out there and telling your story, like, especially as you start building this business, letting people know, like, you don't have to get out there with a megaphone. Like, you can do something that suits your personality. I'm stuck on that because I'm like shocked that a coach would even like say that, because we meet people where they're at and we work with people's strengths and we don't try and make them something that they're not. Like, that's just not what coaching is. You know, and it's cool though to have experiences that are just like glaring, like, oh no, this is not all right. It teaches us what we don't want to do or what we're not going to do with others and stuff like that. So it's always a lesson. I love that you're taking a risk, right? Changing up social media a little bit and getting out there and just, yeah, you do it the way that it works. I'm kind of backing off a little bit lately. I don't know. I go through like seasons where I am feeling a little bit more introverted right now, which is really strange because I'm not an introvert in any sense of the word, but I'm just feeling like a natural pause or like call to just like relax. Really, I think it's to take care of my body. I got some health things going on, but I was feeling this before that. And I just feel like it's just to listen to where we're at, you know, go up a little more when you feel like it, pull back a little bit when you feel like it.
And I think that's important too, is just listening to your intuition and like what your true knowing is telling you, right? Like that authenticity and being vulnerable. I think you already said that was a big piece for me. Some weeks I'm, able to really show up, and some weeks I back up a little bit, and that's okay, right? And really honoring yourself in that.
Yeah, that's great. It's showing people that like that's human. Like that's ebb and flow of a normal human life and emotions and just where we're at and our growth and all that. We're not always going to be on. And I think the people who are always on, I think you can tell sometimes it's a little inauthentic, right? Like, so I think that's the most important thing, is showing up in that space the most authentically that we can be, because people are so over the polished BS. You know what I mean? I just want the real. And I love that. And so to bring it back to our animals, like they don't need us to be that. They don't need us to be polished. They don't need us to be perfect. They don't care if we're messy. They don't care if we throw our socks on the floor. They don't care if we, leave dishes in the sink. They don't care. They just want to be pet, and they want to be snuggled and fed and walked, and that's it. And it for most animals, it's funny. I get, just like us, and not all the same. But so have you had experiences with people who animals were under your care and then they pass away? How have some of your human patients or just the pet parents dealt with that?
Yeah, it happens more often than I would like, but a lot of the population of pets that I work with are older dogs. So people are bringing to me when they're starting to slow down or they're noticing, mobility challenges or things like that. So it's been something I've definitely witnessed and had to move through with people. I think the biggest thing is really just holding space for whatever emotions come up for them, really trying to be compassionate and kind with them and point them in the direction of resources to help navigate that transition, because it's really difficult and we all experience grief in very different ways. I actually just met with a Polkadot sister this week, and she held a grief gathering just specifically for pets, right? And I think just sharing things that you loved about them and stories about them with people, and allowing yourself to be with those feelings and move through them is important. But sometimes society doesn't put the same amount of importance on the loss of a pet versus the loss of a human. And I think those are people that just haven't really experienced that human animal bond, because those of us that have understand that it's like a really big loss and it's a challenge. And I think a big part of that reason is the unconditional love we get from them, right? That presence constantly there in our life. And then all of a sudden it's gone, right?
Yeah. So grief, in the grief world, we talk about how it's the attachment to whatever need, right? That person or pet or whatever is filling for us. And for some people, so as you were talking, I wrote down the word judgment. And I like that you said that socially, societally, it's not like some people don't understand how you can have that closeness. But the truth is, if you never received that, if you never, like, it's one thing to like lose unconditional love, like that's terrible and sucks. But if you never had it, if nobody ever showed that to you, like if you didn't have parents who showed that to you, or you just didn't have that person and your pet was that person. So it's not, that's like doubly, right? Painful, I would say, because it's like you're not just losing your best friend, you're losing, oh my gosh, who else is going to love me like that? I'm never going to get love, or we think, some people might think I'm never going to get that love from anybody ever again. And then I know some people who won't get more animals. They have a dog who passes and they're like never getting another pet because it hurts so badly.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be one of the most painful losses, but I feel that the joy that they bring to you, for me personally, outweighs that pain that I do have when we lose them. So it's like, I can't imagine my life without animals in it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like I can get that unconditional love again because most of them are going to do that. Most of them like that if you take good care of them. And is that how a person becomes a pet's person? Is that the truth? Is that the one who walks them and feeds them and provides those needs? They kind of tend to stick to that person more.
I'm not really sure. Like I've seen kind of like variations of that with my soul dog, Tika. She's my 12-year-old German Shepherd. I'm the one who went and picked her up from the shelter, right? And I'm the one who's typically responsible for her care. So I'm definitely her human. But like my husband, for example, I had an older cat that I, had from 8 weeks when I got her from the pound and raised her. And she chose him as her human, and he didn't even like cats when he met me. So like, I'm not really sure how they choose their human. Maybe it's something energetically, maybe it's something that you are needing from them that they can provide. Or maybe it's just you're providing their basic needs and they're like, well, this human's going to make sure I'm taken care of. I don't really know how they choose it, but I've seen different ways, and I'm still baffled that my cat chose him and not me. But,
That's really super interesting. Tell us more about Soul Dog. Like what is that? And how do you know that that's like your soul dog?
I don't know. I just feel a connection, a very strong connection to her that I can't really describe what it is. Like we just get each other. I find myself being more patient with her and understanding with her than I do with my, my rambunctious husky mix. And I don't know what it is about her. Something about her energy and her presence speaks to my soul. Like she's my best friend, like instantly,
Do you feel like a calming effect when you're around her? Do you think maybe like she calms the system and you just both feel like good? Because I get that. Like there are some people in life that you meet that you're just like,
you feel
wow.
easy. You feel like you can take a deep breath and let your shoulders down and just be.
It's just the energy. You could just feel it. There's just totally something about energy and it's real. And especially, I mean, the horses is probably easy to find a soul horse because they're so soulful. I just feel like you look in their eyes. I don't know what you see, but you see another dimension
Yep,
of reality. I don't even know what it is, but I don't know. I feel like they're just like the deepest of the animals.
they are.
That's so cool. So what do you think people can do like when they lose a pet? What would you suggest that they do to try to process that? We just talked about like either getting another pet or not getting another pet based on how you feel. But aside from that, is there anything that you think people can do specifically to process pet loss?
Allowing yourself to like go through that grief process and actually feel those feelings and try not to let the world's judgment or thoughts on how that should look.
Mhm.
In talking to other people that understand, there are pet loss grief groups out there. There's like Facebook groups on there. I think sometimes for me it was just helpful to like even read posts, even if I didn't post something, just to know that I wasn't alone and there are other people that felt so strongly as they were going through this grief. And I think even going through a ritual of some sort of like closure or goodbye. I actually know a woman that does like pet, funerals and memorials. Like she hosts like some sort of remembrance or ceremony for them. And I think that if it was such a big part of your life that an animal, that could be a good way to get closure is to actually honor them in that way. Right. Because there's plenty of people that host birthday parties for their dog. Why wouldn't you host something to remember them and recognize them as they go on to the Rainbow Bridge? Like, I think those are a
Yeah,
few things that come to mind for me that were helpful.
that is so true, right? Yeah, we host birthday parties or adoption day parties or things like that. It's just grief across the board, as you were just describing some of those things, ritual, community. Those are just the typical things that we do to mourn the loss of a person. Like we do those things with the loss of a human. So why wouldn't we also do that with a pet that is so important to us? So I think that makes perfect sense. I love that. I love doing some kind of ritual and then also probably being mindful of those days. Like, I know my dog's birthday every year. Once she passes, that day is going to come around to be mindful that, like, I might be feeling a little bit extra sad that day, just like we do when the birthday comes around of our beloved humans who have passed. So
Yep.
it's the same. And I don't think that everybody gives animals and pets that same level of I was just on a grief and somatic continuing education seminar. She said she didn't skip a beat. It was like, we think of some of the more traumatic losses like people and pets. Like it's just lumped in together. It's
Yep.
that powerful and pets are that important in our life that there's just no separation. So why should we mourn them any differently and just say, oh, they were just a pet? Maybe it's easier for some people that lose their pets and they feel devastated to just then all of a sudden put them in this like other category as if like maybe they
Right.
weren't as important.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some things there I've seen coming out that society is shifting in some places. Like some people are actually getting pet bereavement, which
Uh,
that's not a common thing. I mean, some people, as benefits of their job, they get bereavement for the loss of a loved one. Well, a pet is a loved one too. And right, you can't function after that loss. So I think that that's really encouraging to see that is being offered to some people because they're starting to realize like pets are family, right? And we need to honor them in the same way.
I love to hear that because bereavement in and of itself is still not taken seriously enough, I think, in professional world at all. I would love to see, bereavement time given for many other losses, that are not as tangible. But to
Yep.
hear that for pets, I mean, yes, I mean, it affects, I imagine it affects the body the same way. Loss is loss, loss, the event, grief is grief, I should say. So your body could have a very similar response. How do you process it personally? How do you keep going when things like that happen?
Um, I mean, I normally have to take a moment to let myself express the emotions. Depending on my relationship with the client, I might actually be emotional in the room. I've always been somebody that's fairly vulnerable. Um, and it may be viewed as not the most professional thing, but I think that they really appreciate understanding how much I care about their pet. It's not just you come in, I adjust them and they leave. Like, I truly care about them. But I'll normally take a moment, kind of do some deep breathing, recenter myself if I have to go back into patient care. If not, I might take the day and go home and spend some time with my own animals, go for a walk, go for a hike, get out and move, and try to kind of move through the emotions, not try to push them down. Because the more I try to push it down, the more that it bubbles up and I can't control it. And then I feel like can get consumed by it.
Yeah, I totally relate to what you're saying. Yesterday, I had a session with a coaching client, and she really went to some very painful places. She wrote a letter to different people in her life, and then she read it to me. Like, she kind of led the session. It was very interesting. And as she was, reading, and I was sitting and listening, it's here. I welled up, and I thought, Amanda, do you show this or do you not? Like, what's like the professional thing to do? And I have such close relationships with some of these women that I was just like, you know what? I'm going to, and I wiped my eye. I mean, I wasn't like, oh, I wasn't hysterical, but I didn't just think, oh, maybe she won't see it. I just was like, I wiped my eye as she was speaking. And I think it shows that I care, just like you. It shows that you care. And then once we can release it too, it's not consuming. I love that you use the word consuming, because if I don't release it in some way, that's what I'm going to be thinking about. Like, it's going to take me out of the ability to be present. I'm going to be thinking about showing it or not showing it or pushing it down, right? And then we become fake. And then we become inauthentic because we're suppressing something that's real and true, right? So just taking a minute, showing it if we have to, and then if that feels right. And then I think it brings a closeness too with the clients, and they feel like, yeah, they care. I feel like there's so many rules these days that are just like going out the window in terms of like how we're supposed to be like across the board in a lot of professions with clients and stuff like that, because people are really seeking that connection. And I think let's talk a minute about like how helpful pets are for people who just don't have anybody else. I'm sure your clients, some of the pet parents, that's their whole life. Maybe they don't have kids, or they don't have, they don't have husbands or wives. It's just them and their pet.
Right. Yeah. That's their best friend. That's their social connection. That's who they lean on when they're having a hard day.
A social connection. Yeah. So these are like other ways, other needs, that these animals fill for people if they don't have any access to it otherwise. Right. So it really is such a beautiful, beautiful relationship. I really, really, really love it. So is there anything that you want to share about what you do, or any message that you want to give to pet owners, or any way that your own pets have affected your life, or just anything that you'd like to share?
A big thing for me is, like I said earlier, a lot of people don't know that what I do exists, right? They don't know that animal chiropractic is something that is available to them. So I really just want pet parents to know that there are holistic options out there for their animals before they get to the point where they're maybe an older dog and we're helping them feel a little bit better, but we may not be able to, extend their life per se. So trying to get this information into the hands of pet parents sooner, so that this isn't their last resort, because oftentimes they've gone and done many other things before they come to see me. So that's one big piece, is just awareness that this is out there for their animals. And then sharing what it can be helpful for. So obviously mobility challenges, that's a pretty common one, right? Like having difficulty getting in and out of the car, going up and down the stairs, those types of things. But it can also be helpful for behavior changes that we can't really understand. Maybe we've talked to a dog trainer, we've talked to our pet, and sometimes that behavior changes because something is painful and they're avoiding it. For example, like a dog that normally runs to greet you at the door and all of a sudden just can't be bothered to get up off the couch. Probably just, it's not because they don't love you, because we've already established they unconditionally love you. Maybe they don't feel good, right? And they can't express that in words. Or, they're not getting up on the couch or coming to snuggle with you in bed. Maybe it's because they're having a really hard time and it's hurting their back to get in the bed with you. So just things to pay attention to. Your pets best because you're with them all the time. So really paying attention to those little things, maybe not brushing those things off. I'm like, oh, he's probably just tired, or he's slowing down because he's older. Like really advocating for your animal and being in tune when you feel that there's something off, there might be, and seeking support for that, whether it be animal chiropractic, a vet, a behavior specialist, anything like that. But just encouraging pet parents to pay attention to those little things.
Excellent point, to be mindful.
If my dog wasn't excited, like it was the best thing in the world to go on a walk, I would be concerned. Like I'd be like, okay, there's something going on with her. She's not feeling good. Something's off. Like we all have the like things about them. If that's an indicator, like, okay, we need to get some help because she don't want to go on a walk. Something's wrong.
Yeah. Something's wrong. Just like humans, we respond to things typically. And then this one day, and there might not be anything really wrong, but we're just off. We're just off. But if that happens more, it's worthy to look at. So yeah, that's awesome. Jen, this has been great. Can you tell everybody where to meet you, where they can find you or meet you on social media, and where your office is and how they can make an appointment and all of that good stuff?
Yeah. So my office is located in Arvada, which is like a northwestern suburb of Denver. My website is www.elevatehealthchiro.com. There's information about human and animal chiropractic. I have a scheduling link there as well. You could also follow me on social media. On Facebook, it's Dr. Jen Animal Chiro, and it's the same handle on Instagram as well. So I post about all the things that we talked about, my life and animals and tips and tricks and how to support them better.
Do you also do mobile? I feel like maybe you told me that when we met.
I do mobile in Denver. So on Mondays and Fridays, and it's kind of greater Denver metro. For dogs, I don't really go much further than like Highlands Ranch or much further north than probably Erie. And then for horses, that's a little bit different because I always have to travel into them, and they typically are a little bit more remote. So I typically kind of plan my day accordingly. If I need to go to the western suburbs,
we're so lucky to live where we live with nature and the animals and the deer. I mean, the deer never get old. To be here 11 years, I still get excited. See deer, horses. Always like, oh, I'm sorry. It's very special, very special. So I love what you do. I'm really happy for you. It seems like you really, truly enjoy what you're doing and you love your job and you're making such a difference for these pets and people and all the things. And so thank you so much for being here, Jen. It's been great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.